Happy Friday. I'm trying something. I'm going to try this because I don't know what it's going to be like. I've never tried something like this, really, at all, streaming or not. So we're going to see how this goes. So what I'm going to do... you know what? I just realized I didn't... you know what? You know what? It's not gonna... you know what? I'm gonna just do this. There's the skull I'm talking about for the other thing. All right, let me do something. I'm doing this... I assume it's still streaming as I do this. I actually don't know. But I'm going to... I need to add a layer. I meant to do this before I started streaming. This tells you already how good this is going to go. All right, let me add... I'm going to put the image that I'm using over here. So let me find the actual image that I put on the desktop so that everybody can see what I'm talking about. Okay, I think that's going to work. And let me do the source as this. Make sure that's not going to interfere. Okay, good, it's not. So let me see. Can I make this bigger? I can. Good. Okay. So this is... Okay, here's what's going to happen. Let me save this. Oh, no, apparently it is still going. Yeah, it says 1.5 minutes. Okay. So, you'll see the background of this. Hold on. I have the most faith in you. I'll try. Lando's sending me a note of encouragement. Since this is coming from his daughter, so hopefully this is what they want. Okay. So what I'm going to attempt to do, and if you missed yesterday's stream, I mentioned this on there. But the idea here is... Sorry, I'm actually working across 2 computers at once. The amount of screens I'm staring at is probably not healthy for me. So what this is going to be is a bit of an introduction, because this is going to be a bit of a different stream. So, just so everybody's aware. I was requested, and I'm sorry if you were here yesterday, this is a bit of a repeat, but... Lando's daughter requested that I do some videos showing how to draw cartoony versions. So not really realistic, top to bottom. I don't know how cartoony, though. I mean, I might go a little crazy, but we'll start with what I'll call an exaggerated or animated type of animal. The request was a cat, a person, and a background. So I'm going to start with actually none of these are... Cartoony for me is a weird space. I'll just say that up front. Because I don't know how to properly frame this. When I try to do something cartoony, it can go really, really badly because I'll over-exaggerate. Because trying to translate what's in my skull to what's on the screen or page it's a process. It's a bit of a hand-holding. I'm going to get a drink really quick. Get a drink here. This is not alcoholic, it's just water. There we go. Okay. So, doing something cartoony is very similar to a caricature. It's exaggeration, it's simplification, it's trying to... Oh, I'm glad his daughter finds me funny. We'll watch tonight. Okay. You are Bob Ross. I am Bob Ross. Yeah, I am absolutely not Bob Ross. I wish I could... Boy, Bob Ross is... Well, anyway, not before we I'm not going to go and do a tirade on Bob Ross, but he's great. You should go watch his stuff. Anyway, so the exaggeration part is the tricky bit, because when you're talking about doing drawing, there's different ways to do it. There's highly stylized, which is very common in like comic books, that type of thing. Then there's artists who do very, very realistic stuff, and then there's kind of variations on that, right? So what does that little button mean? Sorry, what is this? Enable draw. Oh, that means... Oh, really? That's interesting. You can actually draw on what you're showing. Huh. Didn't realize that was... Okay, I'll mess with that another time. Sorry, I don't want to get sidetracked. Anyway, so when I think of cartoony, I think of Hanna-Barbera, that type of thing. Very simple lines, not a lot of detail work, that you're going for kind of Hallmark card... not a picture, obviously, but drawings. So I'm going to do what I interpret a cartoony cat to be. But this is basically... The goal is to have younger viewers kind of get the idea of just basic shapes and how you form things. but not to get overly complicated. So this will probably not be, it'll probably be long. I'm going to start the thing counting down. It's been 5 minutes. It will probably not be, well, it might be particularly long because I'm explaining a lot, but not because I'm going to be doing anything that is really detailed in the way that some of my other streams have been. So if you're tuning in expecting any of that, this is not that. This is very clearly meant to be an attempt to show younger viewers, you know, how I would do something that's a more simplified, cartoony version of anything. In this case, it's going to be a cat. Now I'm going to work off a reference. You'll see it once I switch over to the other screen. And that's, now I'm going to have it on a big screen behind the computer. So it's going to be small on my screen for the Twitch stream itself, but I'll have it behind that so that I can kind of look at it. And I'm going to do it in a basic blue pencil line first. So you're going to see kind of there's the cat. You can see it. It's over to the left there. So that's what's going to be what I'm working from as far as the basics of this thing. Because I don't draw a lot of cats. Therefore, I don't have, I mean, I could draw a cat's face fairly easily without thinking about it, or a type of cat's face. But the body, you know, I don't have that type of shape memorized because I don't draw cats very often. So, okay, here's what we're going to... Oh, I almost dropped my iPad. That wouldn't be good. That would make the stream really short. So let's go ahead and see how this is going to go, right? So we're gonna start off with our very simple blue pencil. And I'm working, not that this matters, but if you were to try to follow along, what I'm working at is... And it really doesn't matter, the size here. But if you wanted to mimic it, I'm working at 9 by 12 on the iPad. So that gives me 100 and almost 200 layers to work with, which I might need every one. I might. So, okay. So the basics here are, to me, I look at this as a cat. The cat is 6 different parts. Okay, that's what it is. You got a head, 4 limbs, the body, and the tail. Now you can't really see the tail here, but we're going to make the tail more visible. So that's what I mean about, you can, you know, you start to kind of work off whatever you want. And then in each of the parts, it might be for some people easier to break that part into smaller parts. So, for example, for the head, I'm going to basically break that into the head itself, ears, eyes, nose, mouth, and those are the basic parts. Okay? Now, there's a couple ways to do this. On the iPad, there is a way to mirror things, but I'm not going to do the whole thing that way. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to start off with just basic kind of forms, and I'm going to do each of them on a different layer because proportions sometimes can be tricky, especially when it's something you don't draw a lot. So let's just start off with the head, which, looking at this picture, it's not really a complete circle. It's more of a, I don't know, it almost kind of looks like the ship from Flight of the Navigator to me a little bit. So you kind of have, you know, and that's why I'm not worrying about size right now. So you kind of have this is the mouth and nose area here, and then it kind of branches off and swoops around. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect because we're not going for, you know, we're not going for, what's the word for it? We're not going for perfect reality. This is supposed to be cartoony. And I can already see I've put this too far up, so we're going to move it down. So each of these major parts is going to have its own layer. So, okay, so there, the eyes are at about this level or so, which puts the nose about there. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. That's the nice part about this. I'm going to make this cat smile, so instead of having, if you can see the mouth is just kind of like that, I'm going to have the mouth like that. So I'm going to give the cat a little smile, right? Don't worry about, you know, seeing all this right away because this is a very, very rough, cartoony version of the cat. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Then we'll have the whiskers shooting off, right? So it's all basic forms. That's what I mean about, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, if you're trying to make it cartoony, it shouldn't be perfect. So ears, man, this cat's got, or maybe not. I don't know a lot about cats. Maybe this is not big ears for, I mean, it's obviously it's not a lynx or anything. Oop, I switched to eraser, sorry. So let's go ahead, and the ears are basically perpendicular to the face. So we'll just do something like that, and we'll have the ears come up, and we'll have them come down. Yeah, that's about right. And then we'll have the same thing here, where the ears will come up, and they'll come down. You know, put a little bit of a swoop into them, or whatever you want to call that. And the ears have an inside, so you put the little, yeah, I'm not really worrying about that. Okay, there's our eyes. Hopefully this cat doesn't look psychotic. Although the cat in the picture does kind of look like it's, I don't know, had a lot of caffeine, I guess. Gotta remember I'm talking for young audiences here, so I was instinctually going for something else to generate the energy of the feline, but we'll stick with a lot of caffeine. Okay, so put little nose holes, right? There. That's it. This is a cat's head, basically. Not done, obviously. I think I've made the ears a little, maybe too big. They might not look quite right, but that's the basics of it, right? There's a part, right? So there's your head. Okay, so now, new layer. This layer, let's do this. Let's name it H-E-A-D, head. Oh, not hef, head. Okay, we'll name this one B-O-D-Y, body. Now, this is actually probably, for this, the simplest thing, because you don't really have to worry about much with this. So basically, again, you kind of want to try to look at the cat and see basic shapes, not worrying about everything being correct. So basically, as you can see, this cat has kind of this shape is coming off the body, which is where the arms go. And then there's the rest of the cat, which we'll just put as a separate shape down here. And we'll just kind of move it back. And you can see the cat's kind of got like a bump on the back. So these are all just basic shapes. And then there's like a connecting bump. Right? So there's your connecting bump. So these are just basic shapes. This is not precision. I'm not worried about whether it looks quite right or not yet. None of that stuff. And you don't really have to. If you wanted to, you could make a big fat cat. If you want the cat to have a big belly, you could do this. And this could be a fat cat with tiny little legs. You could have tiny little legs and a big fat belly and a bow tie. And maybe we'll get to that. So, but we'll stick with the basics of it. Let's not go too crazy yet. We can do that once we've got the stuff in. So, but we're going to stick to the basics of drawing a cat. Right? Okay, so now that's the body, more or less. This will get smoothed out. And in fact, I could do it right now. So what you would do is you would just kind of join... Actually, no, let's not do that yet. Let's get the legs in. Right? So now we'll say, call this front legs. So do the front and back separate. Now, if you look, the legs are pretty much, the one leg is essentially just connected, or kind of coming off of the first bump, or the front bump, whatever you want to call this area. Okay? So all we got to do is you kind of just follow along with the picture. And if you look, the bump comes down, and then there's a leg, and the leg just comes down like this. And then there's some toes. And you don't have to worry about being precise. You can make them scratchy. It doesn't matter. Scritchy, whatever word I was just saying there. And then the leg comes up. Okay? And we can just have the leg come up. It doesn't have to look right. It's just, this is where, we want to make the leg kind of look like it does in the picture. Okay? So that's a basic leg. And because you can see where the feet are, if you look on the picture, the bottom of the cat's foot is kind of where, I guess the cat's butt, I don't know what this is. So, we're going to modify this a little bit, but that's fine. And then the other leg is kind of coming off of, see the other leg forms sort of the end of this front bump here, this one here. So you just kind of and you just kind of follow along. You can follow your other pencil lines and bring it down, and it kind of goes where the other foot is, and this doesn't have to be perfect again. And then it kind of goes here, and then you have toes. Again, you can just scratch in the toes for now, because we're not worried about this being perfect. And then it just kind of comes up, and then it's going to get lost in fur. So, it doesn't have to be perfect. So there's your, of course, the feet aren't quite the same size they should be, so come back, make these feet a little bigger, okay? But we'll refine all this, so it's not a big deal. And looking at it now, so let's go back to the body bump, because we can see in the picture that this is not actually the body, that's the tail. Well, I'm going to change the tail. So now that I know that's the tail, I'm going to do something different with the tail. So I'm going to go ahead and just erase that, because the tail for me is going to be different. Okay? And that's fine. So now I could actually add another layer, and we could call it tail. And you can draw whatever you want. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the tail, because you're not going to see it. Tail's going to come and it's going to curve around like that. And it's just going to be a tail. Right? There. Now, you could do it differently. You could have your tail come up and sweep around like this. Right? You could have that kind of tail. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Actually, looking at that, I kind of like that tail better. Or you could have your tail coming up like this behind the cat. And it doesn't matter. And maybe that's better. And now that I look at that, I like that better. It doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want. You could draw two tails. You want the cat to have two tails? Have two tails. You want the end of the cat to have a little top hat on it? Draw a little top hat on it. There it is. Top hat. Top hat on the tail. Who cares? Whatever you want to do, do it. But we'll just leave that for now. So now we've got the tail, right? Okay, so now we need the back legs. So what in this case is, you can kind of see one. So we'll say back legs, not back 'em legs, back legs. Okay? And we just have kind of one off the back bump here. So we just kind of draw this and we'll have it come forward and we'll give it some big toes. And, you know, again, we'll modify that later, but that's it. And then you can barely see that there's a little bit of a foot right in here where I put that circle. But honestly, for this, we'll see if we need that. We might not. And that's it. Right now, that's a cat in its basic form. Now, you know, we're going to do more with it. But there you go. That's just, again, what are we talking about here? It's on it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Why did I say 6? Oh, because I was counting each of the legs separately. But if you break the legs into front and back, then you have even less. So it's basically the head, the body, the front legs, the back legs, and the tail. Now, if it makes it easier, which it does for me, I'm going to actually put these in sort of an order. So I want the head, body, front legs are in front of back legs, which are in front of the tail. So I have it kind of whatever is going front forward. Now, if we look at this, and this is why it's nice to do things separately or kind of look at them. For the head, it looks a little too wide compared to the picture because I have these sides on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just erase those sides off, because now it should be more in line with the actual body. Because you can see in the picture, the head is a little bit smaller than the body bump, right? So that's not a big deal. It's fine if yours is bigger, but I'm probably going to make mine a little smaller and just kind of, let's see where and it looks like the chin for this cat is right. I'm gonna put it right there. I kind of like that better. It makes it look like he's, or she, I don't know what this cat is. It looks like this cat is sitting up a little bit more when I put the head further up. But if you wanted the cat to have a low head, like it's, hi, how you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Or you can move it over. If you wanted, you could turn it sideways. If you wanted the cat to look curious, you can do all that stuff. So whatever you want. But if you're doing this on paper, if you're not doing it on an iPad like I am, then you probably want to figure that out earlier so that you don't have to worry about it later. But get an idea. And the nice part is if you're using pencil, you just erase it. You can just move it around. It's not a big deal. Or you can erase everything else. Or you can, add to the body if you want to make the body smaller to begin with and make it bigger. You'll figure out, what stuff, because as you can see, I made the head too big. That's a frequent problem of mine. It's almost a certainty, and this is not a bad thing, almost everybody has some part of the body or some part of something they draw that's typically a little bit off. So with me, I tend to make the head too big because I typically draw that first and then do everything else, and the head just ends up being too big. And that's why I have to come in and fix that. Very easy on an iPad, but what you should try to do is figure out what thing you think maybe you need to not necessarily do better. I don't want to say it that way, but things that you might want to pay attention to. And like with the toes, I made the toes too small on the second foot and then I just made them bigger. That's the stuff you want to do with the pencil. Do that stuff and sketch it out, figure it out. Don't worry about it too much. And the other thing is it really doesn't matter because it's a cartoon version of a cat. So you don't really need it to be perfect. So it's not that big a deal anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and group these up. And we're going to call that group sketch, because really, we don't have to do much else with this. Now, I am going to do one other thing. I'm going to add another layer. I'm just going to call it, other. And this is where I'm going to kind of, okay, what do I maybe want to do with this that, I kind of think I'm going to do some big fur here. I'm going to have some puffy fur, which I need anyway to cover up the legs, because as you can see, the legs are kind of covered up. So I'm going to have a big puffy chest thing. I'm not going to worry too much about the fact that this cat doesn't have a big puffy chest thing. I'm going to have it. I already made a tail in a place it doesn't have a tail. So what do I care? And then we'll do some fun stuff later on. But, I'm just kind of looking, okay. So, and, I like the color stuff. So let's do it where this puff, we'll make this puff. We're going to make this dark. So I'll sketch that in a little bit. We'll do the stripes on the legs. I kind of like the stripes on the legs. So do little stripes just to remember, I want to do some stripes, We're going to give it a white belly, so we'll do that. We'll get it a little darker. We're gonna smooth this out a little bit, so we'll make it look more like it's a natural body. Okay, good. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and do a new layer, and now we're going to switch to ink. virtually, of course, in my case, but you can use ink if you want. Okay, so let's do nice thick line. We'll do a little thicker looking than that. Let's go to like 5. Go to 5. That's good. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. Let me think about this. Because if you're doing this on paper, it's going to be a little different. I'm going to... What should I start with? Let's start with the nose. Let's start with the nose. And we're just going to make a simple nose. So if you look at the picture, the nose is, there's like a little ridge in it. But we're not going to get all that complicated. Because again, this is supposed to be a cartoon. You're not supposed to be trying to do anything hard. So basically, you're just kind of drawing a triangle with a couple of holes in it. Now, oh, sorry, I just gave the cat a, what do you call it? Birthmark, mole. I gave her a mole. So let's just do a simple triangle, right? So the nose is just going to be a triangle. So we'll go like this, and we'll come across, and then we'll come back down. Triangle. That's it. And then in the triangle, we're just going to put a couple of holes because those are the nostrils. So you just draw a couple little circles right there. There's your nose. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And then we're going to give the cat the smile. So we'll just do a line that comes down, because you can see in the picture there's a little line that comes down from a cat's nose. And then we'll do this. And we'll do this. And now you have a smiling cat. And you can put little things here to show a smile if you want. It's up to you. I will. We're not doing the whiskers yet. We're not worried about that yet. This is just giving the cat a smile. So there's the cat. Right? Now we'll do the eyes. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put a new layer. Obviously, if you're using paper and you're not using an iPad, you don't have to use layers. It doesn't gonna matter. It's just kind of figure out where you want things to be. Now, what I've just noticed is that in the picture, the cat's eyes, if you look at the nose, there's little lines that come off the nose like this and like this. And then the eyes are kind of, I have the eyes a little too close together on mine. So what I'm going to do, I did a new layer, right? Yes. I'm going to go ahead and make the circles. I also probably made that eye way too big. Yeah, I definitely did. So the eyes are a little bit bigger than the nose. So since I'm on a different layer, what I can basically do is something like this. And then I'll make that into a circle. And I'm going to move that to where it should be. So we'll just do a quick check on that, because it's just a little line that comes up from right about here. Oh, that looks good. Right about there. Not perfect. Not worrying about it being perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Again, you're just drawing a second circle. If you can't duplicate, it's not a big deal. And we'll place that eye there. And let's take those lines out. And that looks more like, I mean, obviously the cat in the picture is very serious. Our cat is not serious. So there is that. Now, what I'm going to do is, let's do the pupils. Again, doesn't really matter if they're perfect. I'm not even going to, so what I'm going to do is, at this circle, I'm going to go ahead and merge that down. We'll duplicate that. We're going to move this over. And then I don't need this circle anymore because I've got that one. And then we'll just go ahead, since we're right here, and we'll just blacken in those eyes. And you leave that little white part because that's the reflection of light. And you can see that, oh, because I put it in the wrong spot. Not again that this matters all that much, but I'll go ahead and do it close to the picture just so you can see what I'm doing. And those don't have to be identical either. You can make these slightly different, and that's what I'm going to do. So these will be individual, the light parts. So you see they're slightly different. Boy, that cat really does look crazy, doesn't it? Well, the cat in the picture looks kind of crazy. Oh, you know what? I made circular pupils. That's not what cat's eyes look like. Well, that's the beauty of it. Stuff like that, you just fix. So a cat's pupils, those are really wide, actually go like this. I should have known that. And go like this. But you know what? Honestly, if you made circles, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to do this to make it easy on myself. Just make an easy almond-shaped pupil. I'm going to go ahead and merge these. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate that. And you know, well, okay, don't want to do that. You know what? I'll just to emphasize that this does not have to be perfect. I'm not even going to do the thing I did before with duplicating it. I'm just going to leave it like that. There. That's fine. It's perfectly okay. So now I'll do my little this and color that in. And we'll come over here and we'll do this and we'll color that in. Okay? So there's our eyes. Now we have a set of cat's eyes that actually look like cat's eyes. And let's merge that down. Okay. We're going to go ahead and merge that down and merge that down, and there's our eyes. So we will rename that to eyes, even though it would be pretty obvious it's eyes if I looked at it. Okay. So let's do the head now. So what I'm going to do, no, actually I'm not. I'm going to just keep going. I'm just going to do this freehand. So I'm not going to use any of the kind of like the mirroring or anything that the iPad does, because basically some of you might not be able to do that, so I'm not going to do that. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. What I like to do is I try to do a nearly continuous line. So I just pick a point, which I'm going to do right here, and then I'm going to just follow the shape of what I did, more or less. I'm not going to worry about it being perfect or anything. Go ahead and follow it. Right? Okay. Do that over here. Oh, no, okay, that's a little, that for me was a little bit of a rough line. Let's do that. Okay. And then we'll bring this up here, and we'll come down here. I want to see what I did over there. I had a little bit of a bump. I don't like the cat's chin, so I'm going to redo the chin. So we'll go ahead and do the cat's chin. And we'll come up. And what I want to check is, okay, no, I'm going to redo that because it doesn't quite look the same as the other side. So we'll come down and we'll do this, and we'll come there. And we have to fix that cat's chin, but it's fine enough. So bear with me a minute. Sorry, my thing went into a screensaver, so I want to bring my picture back. There we go, so I can see it. Okay. But honestly, even this doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's a cartoon cat, so it's okay. If you don't have to like it. This is not supposed to be exact. If it was supposed to be exact, I'd be doing all kinds of measurements and stuff like that, but it's really not necessary. Okay, so now let's, oh, well, I put that on the ears thing, but you know what? Who cares? This is not something where you have to be perfect about everything. So now let's do some fur. Well, I'll do it this way. We're going to do where the inside of the ear is, do a little bit of fur, and we'll just kind of, and this doesn't have to be perfect again. Don't worry about it being perfect. There's some lines. You can make them whatever you want them to be. Bring them up here, come down. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, that's good. I thought I messed that up, but I didn't. Not there's really any messing it up. It's whatever. A little bit of fur, come down, meet the ears, right? Simple. I'm not going to go into crazy details like I do with some of my other stuff because it's just not necessary. Okay. So there's our face. And you know what we will want to do is, just back on the sketch part, we do want to kind of do some coloring on the face. So I just switched over to my pencil really quick, just so that, you can add some coloring. You can do this whenever. I kind of like the stripes coming down on the head. So we'll end up doing a little bit of that. But it won't be too intricate, so you don't have to worry about it. I don't even know if I'm going to use, oh, I think just went. Sorry, give me a minute. Let me rejoin it. Saw it this time. I'm not going to worry about actually using color. This will be black and white. It'll be fine. Okay. There we go. All right. Should see it in a second. There we go. Okay. All right. So, sorry, I got to click on something on my end. My fault. Okay, so let's do some more. We'll do some of the color coming in. And we're not going to worry about making it exactly like the picture. So it's fine. And we'll do some around the eyes. We'll do a little color here. And we'll do, well, yeah, no, that's good. No, it's okay. We can have this join up. And we'll have it come down into here. And there's some color. And there's some colors. Okay. And then we'll do a little bit there to sort of emphasize the face. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, let's switch back to inking. Let's go back to black. Black, please. Oh, wait. Yes, black. Okay. All right, let's do another layer. New layer. Okay, so now we're going to the body. Okay, now I'm going to do the body a little differently because now I've got my pencil lines than I did it when I drew it originally. So I'm going to do this big and furry. So I'm looking at the picture, and there's a little bit of something here, so we're just going to do it like this. And this is what I mean about you can just kind of change things on the fly. So I'm going to make this big. I'm not trying to draw a line. I'm trying to... Come on. Sorry. Bear with me. I was drawing a line when I was trying to zoom in. Okay. So So we'll just make some fur. And fur is just pointy lines. Doesn't have to be anything more than that. You don't have to get really detailed. You just make kind of pointy lines. I always remember Kermit the Frog had pointy lines around his neck. And it was like a little frill that he had. This is on a different layer. I don't mind about breaking that line right there. It's not going to be there in a second. And it doesn't really matter because, okay, no, I don't like those lines. That's okay too. If you don't like something, feel free to change it. But if it's permanent, don't worry about it. Don't let it ruin it. It's very easy for me to do this because I'm on an iPad, but honestly, if I was doing this on paper, I would not have bothered. I wouldn't have started over. It would be fine if I messed one of those up. It's okay. So, okay, there's our outer frill. We'll do an inner frill or fur, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it frill, but it's fur. Just because it looks like a frilly collar like olden kings of England had. Okay, so there's our big fur ball, is what I'll call it. That sits on the chest. And I'm just looking at it. You know what? I actually want this side to be a little bit wider. So we'll go ahead and just erase a bunch of that, which is fine. And we will, but if you didn't do that, it's okay. Doesn't matter. Because the reality is, this is the big thing about doing artwork. You know, especially if you do a lot of it. People who don't draw a lot, they're going to like it no matter what it looks like. That's the secret. Is people who don't draw think that everything you draw is great. Even if you don't. It's wonderful. Okay, so now that frill is a little bit bigger, which is where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and erase the parts where it touches the face. Just on mine. If you're doing this on paper, just be careful where your edges are. But you could cover that up with that fur line. So when we go in and add the colors, that can cover up mistakes. That's one thing is, don't worry if you make an error because there's usually a way to fix it. There's usually something you can do to make it not look like an error. Now the other thing I just noticed is that this head is now way too big for my liking. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge this down, and we're going to merge this down, and we're going to shrink this a bit. Like that. I think I'm going to leave it in the same position, but I like that better. And then what I can do is to cover up that mistake is this. Oh, that's on the head, isn't it? Sure is. Is to do this and that. And see, nobody would ever know. No one will ever know. Except the people watching this will know that I did that, but nobody else knows. That's what I mean about just figuring out how you can cover something that you think is a mistake. If you think it's a mistake. If you don't, leave it there. Don't worry about it, because you know what? Most people probably won't even care. And they shouldn't care. As long as you're happy with it, that's what matters. Yeah, that's fine. Let's turn this off for a minute. Yep, smiling cat on a big frilly thing. Okay. So, let's see here. Now we're going to go to a leg. So I'm looking at the legs. And we're going to make the legs furry too, because they are, in fact, furry. So I want to make sure I have furry legs. Furry legs. So we'll just do this. And I'm just doing the fur and kind of following the leg as it goes down, but not really worrying about, you know, it doesn't have to be a straight line. So we'll just keep going with fur until we get down to the toes. Okay, now the toes are basically just big round bumps. So we just do a... Now what you can do, here's an interesting little trick. If you look at those feet, right? Because they're white feet, or whatever, off-white. And they're just little lines that tell you that there's a toe there. So you don't have to actually do every single toe. What you can do is something like this, which is like a bump. And then you can make it where it's just flat for a little bit. Or, you know, relatively flat. Come back a little bit. Give it a little bit of an arch, because foot has a little arch, right? And then in the back, we're going to do more of a... I did put that as a new layer. Yes, I did. Okay. We'll just do a little bit of fuzz coming down. But again, not worrying too much about it. And then just have it join up. Okay, now, here's the trick, right? So instead of having to draw every toe, you can just make lines. And those are the toes. So there's a line. Oh, that's a toe. There's a line. There's a toe. Now, in this case, you can't see all the toes from the front, so it's fine to leave it like that. There, 2 lines, and you have toes. You have to do a bunch of stuff with that. It's very easy. So there's your first leg. And then we'll do the second one. So we'll do just fur, 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 fur. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing, the same kind of trick. And we'll just do some... But in this one, you can do bumps if you want to. It just kind of comes back. But don't worry if these things line up or not. It really doesn't matter. It's not going to matter all that much. Okay, so this one... Now, this leg kind of goes into the body. So we're going to stop at a certain point. So what we're going to do is start down here and do the fur, 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 fur. And these are just squiggle lines. You can make them however you want. And then at a certain point, we're just going to stop, which is probably a little past where the frill is. So you want to wind it a little bit and stop right there. And that's pretty much the foot. Or the leg, I mean, I should say. And then on the feet, now in this case, I can see what looks like 4 toes maybe. So we'll do 1, and we'll do 2. Okay, actually I don't like those. So you do want to kind of line them up a little bit. But you know what? Here, I'm going to fix my own error. I shouldn't have made the bumps. So we'll just make this a round thing because it's a cartoon, right? So we don't care all that much. So then we'll do a line. That's 1. That's 2. And now that's 4. And there's your toes. Very simple. Cartoony, right? So there's your feet. Okay. Turn it back on just so we have a guide. All right, so now we're going to do the cat's back. So do a new layer, and we'll do the cat's back. So let's see. Okay. So we're just going to follow this, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just do fur, 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 fur for a while, and you can make the fur look however you want it to look. You do not have to make it look like I'm making it look. You can make your fur however you want. You could actually, if you didn't want to do it this way, you could just do lines like this, and that will look like fur if you do it the whole way. That's perfectly fine too. I'm just doing it this way because it's easier for me to just do it that way. But you can do fur however you want. It's your picture. Do whatever fur you like. Perfectly okay. See that? That's called a pun. Okay. Right, so we're going to have everything that's going to come down. Okay. So we'll do more fur, and we're going to have a little indent here. And then that little part, we're going to do wild fur there, because if you look on the picture, the cat's leg has wild fur coming off of there. So let's do some crazy fur. I mean, not really, but just like more wild than our other fur has been. Okay, and then this is an interesting little bit. So there's a little bit of space there. So let's put that space in as some fur. And then we'll do the foot. So the same thing with the foot, where we'll make it flat, and then we'll just add it looks like 3 toes to me. So there's a little bit of a flat bit here. It comes down. Flatten that, don't worry about it, and just join it up there. I'm going to erase that little dot. Again, it's not important to get this perfectly right, especially if you don't draw cats all the time, which I don't. So there's the cat. We have the back. Back's pretty good. Got the fur going there. We're going to have to put a little bit of fur in here that joins up. Or really, you could just put a line. Nobody's going to know. And now we'll do the tail. So let's call this B-O-D-Y. Call this T-I-A-T-A-I-L. Tail. All right. So the tail is, we're going to put ours here. You can put it wherever you want. I'm not going to worry too much about the furry bit of the tail. I'm just going to get the curve right. Those curves are tough for me sometimes. Especially with tails. Okay. Tail. There's tail. Count as a tail. That easy. That easy. Okay, so we have all the major body parts. So we did everything basically that we did down on the other one in the sketch section, except for the other part. And that's going to be the coloring and that type of stuff. But basically, inside of, I talked a while, but basically it's about 40 minutes and you have a cartoony cat. That's a cartoony cat. Now we'll put other stuff in there. All right, I'll do a little cleanup first. So let's clean up. Let's clean up that. Because, you don't just want things randomly bleeding into each other. So we'll clean up the body parts. But again, this is not supposed to be some perfect image. Whoa, oops. This is supposed to be just something fun that you can do. got that part. Let's see, I gotta clean this up here. Okay. Did I leave any other lines anywhere? Yeah, a little bit there. Let's go to the actual legs, and we'll fix the frill. Let's clean that. You don't have to do this stuff. I'm just doing this stuff. It's just whatever you want to do. Okay, so there's the basics of it. So now, let's go ahead and add in some of the other stuff that I was talking about. And that's going to just be like colors. So we'll turn the sketch back on, go into the other section, and let's just start putting color stuff in. Just so that there's something there. It doesn't really, again, you don't have to worry about this being highly accurate. This is not a highly, I'm just going to go ahead and level with you, which you probably already can tell. This is not a picture-perfect cat. I mean, it isn't. So it's fine. You can just do whatever you feel like doing. This is not something where it's meant to be a perfect thing. And I'm going to make that black. So we'll put an X there. X is a pretty common thing in illustration or like comic books. It's a way to what they call demarcate or demarcate. Why am I using a word like that? It's a way to show somebody where black's supposed to go. Because in comics, often you have people who pencil something, so the blue part, and then somebody else comes in and does the black part. And so the penciler will put a little X, and that tells the inker to fill that in with black. That's why I'm using a black X. Now, if I was doing it like comic books, it would be a blue X. But since I don't care, it's a black X. Don't worry about it. It's just a way to tell myself where the black parts are. Because, you know, when you're looking at something up close especially, but even if you're looking like this, you might forget why you wanted something to be black or not. And especially with like the frill here, which that doesn't exist in the picture, I'm putting that in there. I'm going to put that X there. So that tells me put black there. And so we'll do the same thing with this, where we're going to do some little lines going to the eyes, X. Do some lines going to the eyes, X. Let's see, the chin's pretty white. We'll keep the chin white. Do some color going up there, X. Some color going up there. And again, doesn't have to be smooth or perfect or anything. This is not meant to be a realistic picture. This is just meant to be something fun. So don't worry about it. Actually, we're going to put some of that black on the eyes. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to do it while I'm here. Not going to worry about doing anything specific or following any particular lines. Just kind of lining it in, bring it down, move it around. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not important. It's just more of, well, have a good time with what you're doing. So bring that down. Jeez, I just got lost in my own picture. This is supposed to be black. This is supposed to be black. This is supposed to be black. So that would go into the eyes. We'll bring it around the eyes. We'll join it up there. Okay, so looking at the face, there's a little bit that comes down, because if that's black coming down here, then we would want this to, let's go ahead and make it black at the nose. We'll do a little bit coming out there. We'll wrap it up and around the eye, and we'll just do it like that. So we'll just color that in, just so you can see what I'm doing here. So, see, I'm not really even going by the, hold on, oh, there it is. I'm not even specifically going by the picture anymore. I'm just kind of, well, that looks good, I'll do that, or I want to do that, so I'm just going to do that. And that's, you know, you can do that. You do not have to follow the picture. It does not have to look exactly like the picture. It should look like whatever you want it to look like. That's the point. You don't want to do everything to a picture. You don't just want to be doing what's in the picture. You want to actually do stuff that looks good to you. That's how you start kind of experimenting. That's how you discover whether there's something that you like doing that maybe most people don't do. You develop your own style that way. You kind of just do your own thing. Or maybe you just want black lightning bolts on your cat's face. That's fine too. You know? That's okay. You can have a cat with black... Look, you could put a big black lightning bolt coming down the front of the cat. Nobody cares. It's your cat. Right? So, do whatever you want with your cat. As drawing-wise. Okay. So, we're going to do a little bit of black in the ears. That's going to be more of just shading. That's not really the coloring. That's more of shading stuff. But that gives you the idea that the ears are kind of going back a little bit. Put a little black in there. We're going to leave the frill white. I like the white frill. I think it's an alright look. I'm on my own layer here, yeah? Yes. Well, wait a minute. Oh. Whoops. Huh. Okay, well, I kind of screwed that up, but that's okay. You know why? Doesn't really matter. Nice part is, just fix it. We'll just do this. I mean, doesn't make a difference. That's the nice part about doing it this way, is it doesn't really matter. But you can see right there, I screwed up because I was on the wrong layer, and then my thing just went away, but I'll fix that. That's easy. Do that. Give that a second, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so it should come back in a second, and you'll see me working. Okay, so we'll do an X there. We'll redo all this patterning, which is fine. Do that. Let's do this. Okay. Let's do some of that. Okay. That's the other nice part about not being too precise, is that when something like this happens, you can just modify it however you want. It's okay. Sometimes it's good, actually. Sometimes if you can, if you have it, if you're not doing it on piece. Actually, if you're doing it on pen and paper, you know what? You'll figure it out. You'll fix it. It's not a big deal. Nothing is that big a deal. Really isn't. So do a little bit of that. Do a little bit of that. X that. Bring this down. Bring that out a little bit. Come back to the nose. Bring that out a little bit. Bring that out. And this is all just meant to give color to the fur. You could do colors if you want. If you wanted to make it gray, you could. I'm just going to go with black because that way it's just simple. It's just simple and it's easy to see. But you could do colors. If you want to get a colored marker and you want to use marker on yours, go for it. Use marker. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. That's the nice part about this stuff. I'm going to do a little black there. We'll do a little bit of the striping on the foot here. So we'll bring that over. I'm just doing those ridges to kind of keep the fur idea going. We'll leave the feet, pretty plain. Now, if you want to do that, you can do a little fur there so it's on the top of the foot, right? And you can do a little bit going like this. Okay, and then that's got a lot of patterning. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do some, kind of sporadic patterning there. Bring that in. And you can make this shape whatever you want it to be. Doesn't matter. We'll do the X's so we know where the black parts are, or just loose slashes, whatever. We'll do a bunch on this, so we'll give it some nice big patterning here. Why not? We'll give it that white ridge. Okay, so we'll do it like this. Again, you can make this the same. You can make it different. I'm not thinking about this really too hard at all. I'm just kind of doing whatever shape is in my head. It's not following anything particularly. It's not trying to copy the picture necessarily. Parts of it I'm trying to kind of go by. I like the idea of the white belly, so we're going to leave that part whitish. We'll bring a little bit of color into the feet. So see, I'm just doing this all as a continuous line. And then X there, X there, X there. And we'll do a little black on the back of the foot. Sure, black. I'll leave that part alone. Now this cat's tail is looks like entirely dark from what we can see of it. But I'm going to do a little bit different. We're going to make the tail almost white till it gets to the very end. And then we'll put some black fur on the end. And then the very end of it is going to be white again. So just little slashes there. That's just going to make it white. So there's our color. I'm not going to touch the frill. I like the frill being white, so we're going to leave that alone. We'll do, what we will do is we'll do a little bit of this to indicate the long hair. So we'll do that all black down there. Okay? So let's turn off the sketch part. Okay. So I'm going to just clean up some of my edges. There's a couple. I was going to say it's a couple. Not that you even have to do this. This is not important either. It really doesn't matter. I'm only doing this on mine because it's very easy for me to do it. But this is not something you actually have to do. Don't worry if you go outside the lines. There's lots of ways to actually take that and make that into something interesting. So it really doesn't matter. All right, so let's now color some of this stuff in. So we'll go ahead and color that. And we'll, you can just kind of fix the little edges if you want. You don't have to, but you can. But basically, I will put a little bit of color into this, I just decided. In fact, I'll do it right now. 2 pieces of color. And I'm not going to worry about putting them on a separate color layer we're not going to get that crazy about it. Cat's eyes are some kind of green. So we'll go ahead and give the cat the green eyes. So we'll give a nice green. And we'll give the cat a nice green. Well, cats do have green eyes, don't they? Or hazel eyes, I guess. Whatever color you want to consider that. And you can make this, again, whatever color you want. And we'll give the cat a pink nose, because the cat has a pink nose. So why not give the cat a pink nose? There we go. Got some pink. And our cat's going to have a pink nose. And if you're wondering where the whiskers are, I did not forget about them. They're coming. Right. In fact, let's go ahead and do the whiskers now. Because you know what? I might forget about them. So I'm going to use a different pen now, because this pen actually allows me to kind of do like that. Got to make it a lot bigger. So let's go like 15 maybe. Yeah, okay. So let's see. This cat has a lot of whiskers. You know what? I should make the dots too. So let's go ahead and make some dots. Where am I? You know what? It doesn't matter. It's okay. I'm not going to worry about this too much. It's not going to matter. So we'll make the dots, because you can see he's got little dots. He's got 2 rows, or maybe 3, but we'll just stick with 2 because it's easy. And we're not worried about mimicking the picture exactly. That's the point. It does not have to be exactly the same. And then from each of the points, we're just going to shoot a whisker off. So we'll go, right? And we'll do whoop, and we'll do whoop, and whoop. Don't worry if they go over each other. It really doesn't matter, because they're whiskers. So who cares? There we go. So, well, that's a long one. And I'm not even worrying if they hit the circles entirely, as you can see, because it's okay. It's not a big deal. You're not trying to make a perfect picture. There. Now the cat has whiskers. Done. Easy. Okay, back to our ink pen. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going on our black area. Oh, not there though. Let's keep that where it was, which is this. So just in case I make a mistake. And we'll keep it a little bit separate. Okay, so we'll just keep going here. We'll fill this stuff in. And we'll do this. And I'm not worrying about being overly precise. So yes, there's probably going to be some areas where I go out of the lines a little bit. That's okay. You're not worried about that because it's a cartoon. The nice part about cartoons is they're really usually not, they're not overly precise. Okay, there we go. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Kind of lost myself in all the black ink. So we're just going to color that in. And if you want to go crazy and have very, do little detail lines, you can. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying that if what your goal is just to play around and have fun with drawing stuff, then you don't really have to worry about drawing stuff too precisely. You can make entirely different ears than I did. Perfectly fine. You want yours more round or shorter? It's okay. You can do it. Because there's nobody who's going to tell you, well, don't let anybody tell you that what you're drawing isn't good. If you like it and it's what was in your brain, or as close as you can get it, because I can't get everything that's in my brain out either. There's very few people who can, so don't worry about it if you're not one of them. But what you want to try to do is get whatever you were thinking of on the page. And if you can, sorry, I had to move a little bit. I'm sitting in one position for now 53 minutes, which is not the simplest thing. All you have to do is get the stuff that's in your head out one way or another. Did I think that this is what the cat was going to look like when I started? No, because I had no idea what it was going to look like. I really didn't. I did no planning. I did no prep or sketching ahead of time. I just took a picture and started running with it. So, but on the other hand, if you want to do a bunch of pencil sketches first, go ahead. You can spend the nice part about doing a lot of pencil sketches is, now it doesn't matter for me because I'm on the iPad here, so it's very easy for me to go and fix and erase things, is if you do a lot of pencil stuff, you can always erase what you don't like. And you can do 3 or 4 different versions of it, and then you can find the one that looks like kind of what you want it to look like. And here's another thing. Again, there's a small amount of people who can think of something in their head or say, I want to draw this, and then actually draw it exactly the way they want to. Most people can't do that. That they may not say that out loud. That may, Maybe that's a secret for some of them, but the reality is most of us who are artists aren't actually drawing exactly what's in our head all the time. We're getting as close as we can and we're stopping there. So don't get upset if what you're drawing isn't what's in your head, because it's going to be very tough. And maybe the more you do it, you'll get there. Some people can do it. Like I said, there are people who can do it. But just looking. No, I'm okay. There again, I had to check something. But most people aren't actually drawing what they look like, no matter how good it is. I'd bet you serious money that if you went inside their heads, it looks different. Doesn't mean it looks better or worse what they did. It's, part of what drawing is and what artwork is a lot of times is you can actually create something that's, how do I say this the right way? It's kind of a mixture of what's in your head and what comes out on the paper. And that can be way more interesting sometimes. Did I really think this is the cat I was going to draw? No, because I didn't plan the frill, the big part in the center. That's not on the picture. But as I was drawing it, I kind of thought, well, I got to put fur to be in front of the legs, and why not just make it a big frilly collar? So that's not what originally I would have planned to draw. In fact, I had a completely different cat picture I was working off originally, and I couldn't find it, so I found this one. So even what I was sort of planning in my head, and it wasn't much of the way of planning, so I don't want to fool you and tell you I sat here for hours staring at the screen saying, this is how I shall approach this. It was not. But in my head, okay, I saw another cat picture, and I went, okay, I can, that'll look like that, and it'll look like that, and I can't find a picture. Oh, my thing went off again. Sorry. Oh, no, don't lock. Here we go. Oh, come on, why is it? Sorry, just bear with me a minute. I don't know why it does this. Give it a second. So that's what I mean about don't worry about trying to get exactly what's in your head into whatever you're drawing. That shouldn't be the goal. Honestly, the goal with drawing should just be to create something that you like looking at. Or somebody else likes looking at. I've drawn things for people that I don't particularly like looking at, but they do. And that's fine too. If your mom or dad or somebody asks you to draw. I had to draw one time a picture of a tractor for somebody's birthday card. I mean, tractors are fine, but I don't think about tractors very much. I don't think about drawing them very much, but I drew it, and the person liked it very much. So it worked out. It was fine. That's what I mean about it. It's not what you think in your head is not always going to be what comes out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like so many things in life, if you're happy with what you're doing, then who cares whether in your head that's what it was? And who cares if somebody else thinks that that's how it should look? Don't get wrapped up in that. Just be happy with whatever you're doing. And if all you ever draw are circles or triangles or whatever, and you never draw a cat, that's fine. I don't usually draw cats. In fact, I can't even think in years how long it's been since I drew a cat outside of a cat's face. I did draw a very weird looking cat a while ago. I don't even know if I kept the picture because it was a weird looking cat. It was a very Egyptian looking cat with a very long, thin neck and wearing a necklace, and I don't even remember why I drew it. And that, the reason I'm pretty sure I didn't keep it is what was in my head is not what came out. Actually, I probably did keep it somewhere, but I don't know that I've actually used it for anything. But I went, oh, that's interesting. That's not at all what I was thinking of, but that's what I created. Okay. Those are fun to have too. Even drawings you don't like. You never know what somebody else might like. That's the other part. So don't throw stuff away. Just keep it. Somebody might see it sometime and say, wow, that's really neat. Can I have that? And you can say, sure, have it. That person's going to think that you're a whiz, even if you didn't like the picture. That happens a lot, actually. I've had things that people have liked of mine that I didn't really like, and they were thrilled when I said, oh, well, then you can have it. Like I gave them some mighty, super gift. I didn't really. Gave them a drawing I didn't particularly like, but they liked it. So who am I to tell them that they were wrong to like it? Like whatever you like. Let's see. I'm going to use a bigger brush to kind of fill in some of this stuff. So I'm just getting some things done here. Just getting the parts that brush would be too thick for, even though I'm not going to worry about it too much because obviously this is just to show you how things work. So see this big, thick paintbrush we'll use for the black areas. That's why another reason I'm keeping it monotone, because if I was to do it monochrome, sorry, not monotone. If I was to start getting into color, this would take forever. And all we're trying to do is get the basic point across. And sitting like this is probably not a good idea for much longer anyway. Get up once in a while and move around. Non-doctor's orders. Okay, let's get that blocked in. Or no, let's do that. Let's not be too. I don't want to be too sloppy about it. Can be quick without being sloppy. You can do that. All right, and we'll do. I'm not gonna do the edges with that, but we'll do the basics of that in there. We'll do the solid of that in there. Okay, so let's switch back. So basically, I'm almost done here. Yeah, I used the right one. Just making sure I have the right brush for this. We're pretty much done here. Because again, this was just meant to be a simple, I say, it's been an hour and a few minutes. Because nothing's, my thing went off again, sorry. Hold on, I'm getting it back. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's really annoying me now. But honestly, I don't know of a better solution for this other than trying to like a Wacom tablet, which I've never had good luck with. But, oh, jeez, really? Stupid thing, come on. Come on. Come on back. There it is. Sorry. Okay. So, this is... Alright. And we'll do... Wait. Nope, wrong side. Caught it. Caught it before I did it. That's the only problem with working in black and white with all these lines. It's easy to get mixed up on which side of the lines you're on. Coloring outside lines, although that would have been something easy to fix. So if you did that, here's a quick thing. So let's say you're using pen and ink and you started to color like this and you went, oh no, that's the wrong side. Just do this. Nobody's going to know. Yeah. Who knows? Nobody. That's what I mean about you can fix a lot of these things. Usually it's very easy to think you've destroyed something when you really haven't. You just need to put a little band-aid on it and be done with it. It's perfectly fine. Not a big deal if it's not perfect. It's really not. You know, perfect's overrated. It is. Imperfect things are more fun sometimes. Yeah, went off again. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Give it a minute. Almost done anyway. So maybe this is a sign. All right. Be done with it already. I got you, universe. I hear you. Okay. All right. Let's do this. And I think this might be the end of it. Yes, there we go. So there's a simple cartoony cat. You know, I now realize the chin on this cat is way too big. And you know what? Speaking of ways to fix things, here. Okay, so you realize, okay, oh no, the chin on my cat's too big. Oh no, it's ruined. No, it isn't. And I'll show you why it isn't ruined. Right? Let's say you want the chin to be more like that. Okay? Which is probably, yeah, it is better. You can tell just looking at it, right? Okay. Look at that. Just move the frill out. Okay? That's it. Move the frill out. Now, nobody but us is going to know that. I mean, anybody watching the video will know that. But other than that, nobody's ever going to know that. They don't know that you move that. Only you know it. And who cares? Who really cares? The answer is nobody cares. And you shouldn't care either. Because now it looks the way you wanted it to look. I mean, it will in a second when I finish painting it. Ink. Fill that in, fill that in. And anybody who wasn't watching would never know that's not how it was supposed to be the whole time. Right? Nobody knows. And that's it. So I'm going to leave it here because This is supposed to be simple, and I already went on way. I was going to try to keep this to 30 minutes. That was obviously a dream from the beginning. But there it is, a very simple cartoon cat based on a picture, but obviously not copied from the picture. And you could do your variation on this. It doesn't have to look like mine either. But the important part was just that you take it, you break it into the shapes. So literally just starting from the head, adding in, okay, well, not in this case, I did it a little differently. Okay, then I did the frill, which changed later. Then, okay, did the legs. And then I did the tail, the body. And this layer apparently was empty. And then finally I did the color and the black and white. And you don't even have to do the color if you don't want to. And that's it. There's a cartoony cat. You could use any picture and use the same idea with it. Just build the parts. Fix the parts. Look at stuff. If you run into a mistake like I did with the chin there, you fix it. See? There's the chin before, which is way too long and weird looking. And there with the frill, chin's fixed. The guy has a little bit of a longer neck. Who cares? Nobody cares. It's your picture. Do whatever you want. So, hopefully, I don't usually do stuff like this. So, I hope this was useful to some people. I don't know. If not, I'm sorry that I blabbed on for an hour and didn't really, if I didn't help you with anything, sorry. I was trying. But anyway, that's how you can draw a cartoony cat. So, hopefully, go draw a cat. Draw a dog, draw a mouse, hamster, chipmunk, whatever. Same thing would apply no matter what the animal was. Break the animal into its little parts, which is usually head, body, legs, and if it's got a tail. Or if it's, I don't know, if it's a chicken, a beak. Might have a beak on the head, but that would still be part of the head. But all you're doing is take the thing and don't look at it as a total. Break it into the different parts, and that makes it a lot easier to deal with, so that when you're looking at it, it's not as intimidating. It's not going to be as scary if you just break it into these simple parts. And again, just start with the head. Get the head where you want it. Then, or just do the head. You're not sure you're ready to do the whole animal yet? Just do the head. Draw the head, get used to that, and then you build each part off that. You don't have to do it all at once. I did in this, but you definitely don't have to do it that way, because I'm not going to argue that this is a perfect cat. It is not. But if that's uncomfortable to try to do it all, then don't. Just do, don't even do colors or anything like that. You can just do whatever parts you want. But don't be afraid to try it. Give it a shot. Because really, it doesn't matter, and you should have fun with it. So it's not. You don't have to aim for something to be perfect. You should just be happy with it. So, on that note, I will bring this stream to a close. And as I said, I hope that it was. I don't know. I don't generally do teaching type of stuff or instructional types of things, so I have no idea if it was actually valuable for anybody, but I hope it was. Maybe it was. Maybe some kids will watch it and be able to make out what I was saying and have it make sense. Anyway, I'll try to do another one of these at some point with either the person, or maybe I'll do the background next time, because I could do like trees and individual stuff like that. I'll figure it out. In any event, since today's Friday and we're going into a holiday weekend, at least here in the United States, maybe may not have 4th of July if you're not in the United States, but whatever you have or don't have, or whatever you're planning to do or not do, have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again on the next stream. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.